This video is sponsored by Milanote. More on them later. If you've heard me talk at all about photography and my photography, you have without a doubt heard me talk about my hometown, Chillicothe, Ohio. My love for this area and just appreciation for it and the landscape, it's always been a part of my work. And photography is often just how I engage with my physical environment, and it's hard for me to photograph places away from home. It always just feels like I'm forcing things a little bit, as if I'm being asked to photograph something as opposed to just like photographing it out of pure inspiration and like desire, like a need to photograph. So I'm always looking for any little thing that I can use to just further connect me to whatever it is I'm looking to photograph. Anything that I can just explore further through photography, that just helps me, I feel like, connect to whatever it is I'm photographing. So I'm always looking for that element, something that can actually draw me in a little bit more. And despite living here in Chillicothe my entire life, and most likely will live here my entire life, I actually wasn't born in Chillicothe. I was actually born about an hour south in Portsmouth, Ohio. This might feel a bit like Leslie Knope revealing or realizing that she was born in Eagleton and not Pawnee, but my family, all of my family on my mom's side is all down in Portsmouth, Lucasville, all of Scioto County. And my dad's side of the family wasn't too far down there in that area of southern Ohio around Otway. I've always had a lot of love for that area of Ohio, the very southern border of Ohio, just along the Ohio River, what separates Ohio and Kentucky. Spent most of my childhood going there on the weekends, visiting both sides of my grandparents. And since my parents' passing, I've wanted to kind of revisit some of the places that either I remember vaguely from my childhood or just places that I remember mostly hearing about from stories or just seeing through family photos. And recently, I struck gold. I got very lucky. I found a free Saturday on our calendar, so I took that day just entirely to myself. I got up early and hit the road, went down to Portsmouth for the day. This isn't necessarily a project, although that's how my mind tends to work. I try to think in projects, or at least just in the end result. Like I try to think about where these photos are going to live, but oftentimes that just becomes a roadblock because I overthink things. So this was really not about the photos that I made that day or where things are going to go. This is really just about getting outside of my hometown where it feels comfortable to walk around and make pictures and just try to connect with something different. Do you think too much before the shot or go with your gut? These days I'll do anything I can to prevent myself from overthinking, so I have found that just going with my gut, and if I waste an entire roll of film and there's not a single thing on there that I'm happy with, at the very least I tried and I didn't just, turn myself away from it, because if I try to think too much before, I will very easily talk myself out of the shot because I think it's not good enough. It's not about getting the shot that's good enough every single time. You've got to get the reps in. So it's not easy or comfortable to do, but I really have been trying to just push myself to shoot. Even if I don't necessarily know why I want to shoot something, just don't overthink it. Just trust your gut and shoot. Do you try to create cohesion and subject matter when shooting aimlessly, or it's just about place? When I'm out just wandering around with my camera, if I have a specific place in mind, like for this instance, this day, I was thinking a lot about Portsmouth, Ohio, the history of Portsmouth, and my family's history and connection to that area in general. That was really where my mind was at. But if I were in a different city that didn't have any sort of family connection or my own personal connection to it, then I think I would be a lot more just kind of aimless and just wandering around anything and everything. And I think that, to me, is what makes it more challenging. Maybe that's why I find myself gravitating towards more project-based or just more focused things, because when I have the option of anything and everything that excites me, you get that option paralysis. So if anything, creating cohesion in the technical look, maybe if I'm sticking to one format, one focal length, if I'm having a specific idea in mind for pairing the photos together or just putting the photos together, then I might think more about more cohesion and things like that. The photos themselves living together as one, as opposed to just roaming around looking for individual photos, if that makes sense. Do you meditate on your photo walks? Photo walks, just driving or walking around with my camera, that's probably the deepest meditation I ever experience. And it's not like deliberate meditation. It's not guided meditation or transcendental meditation. It's not anything like that I'm doing, but it is the most in tune, most present I can be, I think, ever. Just having a camera in my hand, there's something about it that just aligns everything, and it makes me feel, I mentioned it earlier, it's like it's the only way I feel like I can really engage with things around me and find that comfort or that connection, I think, with whatever it is that's around me, whether it be the landscape or the people around me. That's just how I've always kind of navigated. So for me, I enjoy hanging out with other photographers when we're hanging out and talking photography. Having friends come over, look at photo books, hanging out on live streams every week with people, looking at photo books together. That sort of stuff is great. If I'm hanging out with photographers, I'm not going to be using my camera. Not necessarily just other photographers, but when I'm with other people, unless I'm photographing the people I'm around, I don't really go out and make photos. Like all of the photos in Friend of Mine, in Surveyor, some of those I'm sure Molly was with me because she's my wife and my best friend, but like most of the time, if I'm out making photos for myself, I have to be by myself. It's a very loner type of thing where it's like I've always gravitated towards things that I can just do myself, by myself, very self-contained, self-sufficient kind of way. So it just works perfectly for me. And that's like the equivalent of probably the deepest, meditation that I could possibly get. Now, I also want to share how I planned my day and how I'm planning these solo photography days moving forward with the sponsor of this video, Milanote. Milanote is a tool for organizing your creative projects. So like I mentioned, going out for a day of photography like this, being able to gather any locations that I want to check out, any checklists for gear that I might want to bring, photo or video notes or ideas that I have in mind before the day of, and even when I'm done, being able to bring all of the photos into Milanote. I can work with them the same way that I would if I were working with physical prints in the real world, but I don't always have all of my prints in a big blank space in front of me, but Milanote is just that. So I literally just drag and drop all of my photos on a board and there they are. A lot of times the iPad is one of my favorite ways to use Milanote because it just adds to that kind of tactile feel. And if there's a photo in here, if I need to change something, if I want to make a reminder for myself, being able to just make a note right here on the iPad and everything syncs. So whether I'm on my iPad, my MacBook, or my iPhone, everything is always syncing. So that way, if I'm ever out in the field, I can always access everything if this is all I have with me. But no matter where I'm at, I can always access the photos, the plans, everything I need is all in one place. Now, I like working with a blank canvas, but Milanote has over 100 built-in templates as well, which are also really good for just kind of brainstorming or getting your ideas going for how you might want to plan something out. I like the blank canvas, but to get started, having all of those templates there is great. Milanote is also built for collaboration as well, so if you want to share this board with anybody, you can decide whether or not they can just view the board or actually make changes to it themselves. So if you're working on a project with somebody, everybody has access to all the information, and everybody is up to date throughout the project every step of the way. Milanote has been great for me in all of my creative organization, so if it sounds like something that you'd be interested in, there's a link in the description for a free Milanote account with no time limit at all. So big thanks to Milanote for sponsoring this video, and now we'll get back to it. Does film and/or digital matter when shooting for the purpose of making a book? Absolutely not. Not whatsoever. You can make great photos, you can make terrible photos with any camera, film, digital, it doesn't matter. This particular day, I was using film cameras because I've been having fun using these cameras again. And I was happy with the photos and everything, but as soon as I developed the film and then scanned the film and then archived the film, I still had that thought where I was like, I could have just shot all of this on my Z8, which is what I'm recording this with. Why didn't I? I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like it just, every once in a while, I got to mix it up, and I've always just loved black and white film, but I understand that from a practical standpoint, there's no reason. I'm not printing in the darkroom right now. I'd like to get my darkroom up and running this year out here in the barn, but who knows? This is a time-consuming thing for me, so I used film on this particular day. Does it matter, though? Absolutely not. How do you know when to pause to shoot versus keep walking? That's a really good question. I think street photographers would have even more to say about this particular question because a lot of times where people kind of find a scene and they're waiting for the right people to come in or out of the frame, that's usually not the kind of stuff that I shoot. A lot of the stuff that I shoot is very open, bare, quiet kind of scenes, and a lot of times it's hard to decide to stick around for scenes like that because oftentimes it's not changing rapidly. But I have learned recently that even if I just give it a minute or two, just wait for a little bit of different cloud coverage, that can dramatically change the overall feel of the photo. Even if it's a relatively flat photo and there's not a lot of depth to it, just the slightest change of light can really change the end result. So if I really like the way things look visually, if everything compositionally just feels right, I might hang out for a little bit just to see if the light changes, but like most of it, I think it's really just a feeling kind of thing, you know? There is no rhyme or reason oftentimes when we're just wandering around. Sometimes people will flip a coin when they get up to a place and they need to go left or right, you know, or they'll roll some dice. Like there are different things people do just to leave things up to chance a little bit, and I do like that. Advice on taking pictures of tourist spots without taking the same pic you've seen before. Yeah, absolutely. If you've seen those photos that people have taken, just don't take those. All right, I'll give you a little bit more than that. That is something that with travel photography, it's one thing about it that just has never appealed to me, or just going to like popular places in general. That's why when I travel often, I don't really take photos. A lot of my photography and the stuff that interests me is very local oriented, I guess. Again, it kind of ties back to what we were talking about earlier. I don't have that personal connection to a place. I'm not going to be as interested in photographing it. So if you want advice on just not taking the tourist photos, don't go where the tourists go. Even if that just means like in the big city, if you're going to a place where obviously there are a lot of tourists, if you're wanting to go out with your camera, just don't go to the photo ops. Don't go to the tourist places. Just look differently. Look at places other than where you would go to see the things, you know? Oftentimes that's the more interesting, the stuff in between the high spots, you know? So my best advice would be to find something that tourists don't find interesting, but you do. That's what you should focus on. This was such a fun day for me to just get out there with my camera and try to connect a little bit with some of that family history. But more than anything, just connecting with photography in that way. It has been a long time. This has been probably the busiest like family time that we've had in a while. So it's been a minute since I've been able to just get out by myself like that. And I really hope you all enjoyed the video, enjoyed the photos. Thank you all for sending in the questions as well. That was a lot of fun to answer that for all of you. If you have any other questions about this, anything I've shared here, leave them in the comments down below. We'll keep the conversation going, but that is it for today. So thank you all for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.